아무튼 세상이 수수께끼 같아요.
Hello, Contrarians listeners, Contrarians watchers from all over the world. Here we are with another warm up for a new episode, an episode that's about a movie that's not American, hence my all over the world greeting. We're going to do a Korean movie, Demanded by patron Ryan. Gave us the movie Burning, which Alex and I had never seen before, although I think I at least had heard of it. It made a little bit of a splash back in the day. Back in the pre-COVID 2018 days.
Naive days.
Yeah, when we're all a little more innocent than we are now. But yeah, it stars Glenn from The Walking Dead, and that's how I knew about it. Recorded a full episode on it, and you might have already listened to it, maybe not. But whatever the case, you're here for the warm-up, and the warm-up consists of more Rotten Tomatoes quotes, more trivia, and of course, the Josh Gad Minute. How do you put Josh Gad in a movie set in Korea? I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there. But first, I got some fresh quotes because this movie's super fresh, Alex, as you know.
It is.
So we're going to start with Ali Kavanes from Midwest Film Journal, who says, "Burning is so engrossing, it makes you wish you didn't have to blink." Are you familiar with that feeling, Alex, when a movie just has you and you wish you didn't have to blink?
Halloween Ends.
Yeah. I believe it. I believe that you were on the edge of your seat. I mean, it's hyperbole. I don't think that you ever go like, I don't want to blink, but there's definitely that moment where you're just, you're Malcolm McDowell.
Just yeah. I mean, the first time I watched Wild Things when I was like 15, I was just like, cannot take eyes off of. Yeah, I know, but that applies to like The Matrix or something, not a movie like this. That's at least for me. And I was fine blinking when that dude was just cranking Rod repeatedly.
But slowly. I think that maybe the last 15 minutes?
Yes, that I get. Like, if their point is that it eventually becomes something, but it's not like the whole thing's a visual feast. It's definitely like a perpetual motion machine of tension.
You start blinking and then you slowly stop blinking as you get towards the end. It's happened to me. I don't know why I've noticed it recently, where I think it's just because when I watch movies for the show, I'm taking notes, which means I'm constantly breaking that, connection. And when it's movies that I haven't seen before, I try to watch them twice. These days, it's almost impossible because I just don't have the time. But I tried with Burning. I think I mentioned it on the episode. I wasn't able to do it, but I watched the first 20 minutes, I think, and then I had to stop, and then I just restarted to watch. But I find myself, and I think you've mentioned it too, where you just forget to take notes because you just get caught up in the movie. And sometimes it even happens with movies that we've already seen. So it's the magic, I guess. And I'm glad that Ali Kavanes fell for it so hard. Fresh tomato, obviously. Next,
yeah, we forgot to drop the 95%, and yes, it is certified fresh.
Certified. I think over 200 reviews. Another of those reviews is from Jake Wilson from The Age, Australia, who says, "This is the kind of film that all but demands a second viewing in order to appreciate the complex elegance of the design, assembled from details systematically calculated to lend themselves to more than one interpretation. He could have used less big words."
The first sentence, I was with him, and then he just kept going. And he
systematically, come on now.
Yeah, he didn't use post-modernity in there anywhere, which he could have, or unrelenting id. Yeah, I mean, we both, I think, were in agreement that it warrants another watch. It's an ask because it's not unlike Blue is the Warmest Color. It's a near 3-hour foreign movie, so it's like you're in for an investment when you watch it. But I can't say I'll watch it as many times as I have Blue is the Warmest Color, but I will definitely watch Burning again at some point because of like it's designed. I think I don't know what the design is, but to me it felt like I had to have missed something just because the movie's so kind of wild.
I rewatched bits and pieces while I was editing the episode because I wanted to see if I could get some clips for the episode, and in doing so, I was rewatching some stuff, and it definitely, once you know how everything pans out, some things hit you harder, which is good. I
Yeah.
think that the a movie that's meant to be watched twice is great as long as the first watch makes you want to go back for that second time. Whenever there's a movie that people tell me, "Oh, you need to watch it a second time to really get it," I'm like, okay, but I need to be able to get it somewhat the first time around. And
Yeah, I need to have some sort of connection or like engrossment. I don't even
yeah,
know if that's a word. I have to be engrossed. There you go.
yeah, I you're not gonna convince me I need to watch The Wolf of Wall Street again to
Thank
get
you.
it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no,
Oh no, I got it.
I got it for
I
3
got it
hours.
20 minutes into it. Yeah.
Listen to our Sixth Sense episode because that's a really good conversation on like how wildly different a second watch can be.
It's honestly what I thought of when you were saying about that, about rewatching this is like, and granted, Burning's great, but if please don't think you're signing up for a twist like
No,
parallel with that of the Sixth Sense, but there is still some stuff that happens in like the last act of the movie that's like, well, this is fucking nuts. So but still, even knowing that, it's not like happening or something where I've seen it, I'm like, okay, I don't ever need to see that again. With this, it's like I still know what's going to happen, but it would seem exciting to revisit.
yeah, yeah. Next, Rob Aldom from Backseat Mafia says, adapted from a short story by Haruki Murakami, Burning is a haunting and poetic mystery about class, loneliness, alienation, and memory. I caught a few interviews with the director and with Steven Yeun because going back to editing, trying to find clips for the episode. The problem is that without subtitles, those clips are almost useless.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe I can find the director or Steven Yeun giving the interviews. And one of them, I don't remember who, mentions the short story. And apparently, the short story is just kind of a mystery about, because the short story is like barn burning, I think, right? And I
Yeah.
guess they made it sound like somebody's burning barns, and the mystery is like who's doing it or whether barns are really getting burned. So that's like a little bit of the story here in the movie, but the movie is about something
It's
else.
it's from a collection of short stories called The Elephant Vanishes. Looks like there's 17 short stories in it, and that's one of them.
Okay, well, it sounds like what I like the most about the movie is not in the short story, which is
Hmm.
the interaction between this sort of triangle. And it's funny, it's one of those weird occasions where hearing about the source material has made me less interested in the source material. I know they mentioned that they also grab some elements from some Faulkner story.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what really gets me going. Maybe I should look up that Faulkner story. But I don't know. I always, every time we hit one of these movies that's based on something, or on a short story or on a short film, I always tell myself I'm gonna check out the original material just to see, what got lost in translation, what got enhanced in translation. And sorry, Mr. Murakami, but I don't know that you're not at the top of the list. I'll get to it, I'm sure, someday when I've retired and I have all the time in the world. But right now, I don't know if any of you have read that short story. Hit us up. Save me the time that they would take me to read it, and just tell me what's the same and what's different in the movie. I'm going to close with Con Rithdi from the Bangkok Post, who says, Burning is a slow burn affair that will test and reward patient viewers. Not that all mysteries will be solved and give raptor satisfaction, but the bottled up enigma of the protagonist will come blazing like a star. Not all movies have to answer, I guess, all the questions they pose, but uh, can you think of other movies, Alex, that you enjoyed, even though they left things up in the air? They didn't answer all your questions.
I mean, Drive. I like that movie.
The Dark Knight Rises.
The Dark Knight Rises with its extremely ambiguous ending. I just saw today Leo said, like, I don't know what happened at the end of Inception. It was some good quote too. He's like, I was just there to act, man.
As Nolan, he gets paid to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty. What about you? Anything immediately come to mind?
Well, my thought is that I generally like movies that click together, like all the way at the end. And it's not that it's an outlier for me to enjoy a movie like Burning, but it's I guess it's less likely because I'm less likely to watch it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And so who knows when I would have gotten to Burning if it hadn't been assigned to us by Ryan. And so I think that the examples are not there. That movie, Certified Copy, I think is a really good,
Yeah.
We've both seen it. Friend of the show, Eddie, has also seen it. Three of us are I think we're all pretty enthusiastic about it. And that's a movie
Mm-hmm.
where, like, I couldn't tell you what's going on, really. I mean, I
Yeah.
know what's going on, but I couldn't tell you exactly what's going on. And that's actually kind of part of the appeal, and that you may never know. Would you be bummed? This is something I think about a lot. If you got a definitive answer, if the director just went on record and said, like, okay, this is exactly what happens, wouldn't
Yeah.
that take away some of the fun?
Yeah. And there's plenty of movies I've watched and kind of enjoy that are weird just for the sake of being weird. This definitely isn't that, but there is just the language they use in it, and like the ideas are so metaphorical in a lot of cases that
Mm-hmm.
it would be easy to kind of get confused and be like, well, wait, are they really talking about this? Yeah, man, you know me. It doesn't have to all come together in the end. It's just make a good movie.
Just make me feel something. That's all that matters.
I mean, if it ends up with the two leads end up together happily ever after, that's also a quick way to my heart.
That's a plus.
That is.
Some of those interviews with Steven Yeun, they're asking him about his character, and he's very careful not to really get into specifics. He talks about the process and how he came at the character after reading the script, and how there was a collaboration between him and the director, and how sometimes they agreed, sometimes they didn't, on how he should play, a certain scene. But he never goes like, yeah, I know exactly, there's a right answer as to how to interpret the ending. He's just
Yeah.
always, oh, well, that's up to you. And
I mean, we're both obviously huge trumpeters of the master, and I think there's several ways to interpret the ending of that movie.
yeah, what does it mean when he's singing to him?
He brought him his cools. That's all he needed.
Yeah.
That was his payment. He sang him a song. I always remember laughing, or not laughing. That sounds pretentious, which I am, but people saying like the end of No Country for Old Men didn't make sense and was like open-ended, and I'm like, it's not really.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. You just kind of have to listen to what he's saying, dog. I remember
Birdman. We covered Birdman on the show.
You and me had a difference of opinion at the end of Llewyn Davis too, about like what au revoir and like his whole thing means at the end.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, yeah, we're also talking about fucking the Coen brothers here. And so yeah, great work can inspire debate. And in this case, boy, I bet there's some interesting conversations you could have with some people about it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's also some insufferable conversations.
Oh yeah.
Ours might be one of them. I don't know. You be the judge after you listen to the episode.
I bet you'll find a lot of people that do use the phrase unrelenting id when describing this movie.
All right, well, those were the quotes, Alex. Before we go to trivia, let's fly our friend Josh Gad all the way to Korea. How? Okay, there's not a single American character in the movie. So step one is making one of the characters American instead of Korean.
Or Cameo City, where like he has a product that is sold in South Korea. And so Josh Gad has no specific lines for like the movie, but he's like on billboards and like there's commercials with him advertising, hair cream or something.
That really depressing shot where you see Trump on the TV. Instead of Trump, it would be Josh Gad.
Yes, there you go.
Hawking his gel or his shampoo.
Because the only thing like, and it's just Breakfast and Tiffany's burned into my brain. Because I was thinking like, you don't do any offensive stereotypes, but somehow he's the landlord at the apartment complex. Like, and he speaks like broken Korean.
Right, he's an American that somehow found himself.
Yeah, like he's not like exactly. He's an import. He's an immigrant. But he speaks enough broken Korean to work with people there. That was the only other thing I could think of. Because I just thought of like it wouldn't be funny, but like you could do a lot with the scene where Jong-soo is trying to get into her apartment and he's the landlord there, like not understanding what he's saying. He's like, "There's no fucking cat, man."
Sold. I think that's the easiest, most politically correct way of addressing it. Anything else, you would get in trouble. I don't need a repeat of Cloud Atlas. Let's just
Yeah.
leave that the past. All right, what trivia do you have for us, Alex?
Well, we already talked about the source material it's based on the short story Barn Burning from The Elephant Vanishes by Haruki Murakami, with elements inspired by William Faulkner's story of the same name. It became the first Korean film to make it to the final round of elimination for the Academy Awards, as it was submitted for Best Foreign Language Film at the 91st Academy Awards, which was a rough year. That's the year Green Book won Best Picture.
Ooh.
And who hosted? Oh, wait. It was that at the time when they stopped having hosts?
Maybe. All hell broke loose. Somehow, one of the Farrelly brothers walked away with an Oscar in the midst of the chaos. And just...
I mean, Ashley Graham and Maria Menounos were the pre-show hosts, so... grossed $8.1 million in the United States, so it had a pretty good showing for itself. As again, we mentioned, this was a different time as far as like people going to the movie theater and whatnot. As we mentioned, this was very well received. It won the International Federation of Film Critics Award at the 2018 Cannes Film Festival, became the highest rated film in the history of Screen International's Cannes jury grid. So do with that information what you will. It won Best Foreign Language Film from the LA Film Critics Association, from the Toronto Film Critics Association, and the National Board of Review's top 5 foreign language film. It went on to be nominated for 3 Asian Pacific Screen Awards, winning the jury grand prize, and it was included in Roger Ebert's Great Movies. It was nominated for 8 Asian Film Awards, including Best Picture, and won Best Director. In September of 2019, it won the Saturn Award for Best International Film.
So wait, Ebert was still around in 2018? God, that I know I mentioned before, that irritates me. I know they're doing it because he was their mentor or whatever, but it's like, it's not Roger Ebert's list if Roger Ebert is not, if Roger Ebert didn't give it 4 stars, then just call it something else.
Yeah, he was out the picture, but the RogerEbert.com, when they rate their great movies or like their year end, it still kind of has, the Eduardo Saverin check the masthead type thing of like his name's still on the door, so he gets the credit for it.
Matt Solar Seitz's great movies is not quite as catchy as Roger Ebert's great movies.
Jeff Phillips' great movies.
in small letters, a Roger Ebert production.
The scene in which the main characters talk at Jung-soo's house was filmed over a month. They were only able to shoot for a few minutes every day to capture consistent twilight on camera. Just going to put that nugget out there, and you'll hear us talk about that more in the episode. Because, yes, we do go into talking about 30 Rock and also the argument of actually shooting a movie versus using green screen and computers comes into play.
This is why we strike, Alex.
This is why we strike. It was the first film Lee Chang-dong had directed in 8 years. I wonder if it was a Avatar situation where he just couldn't get it right.
He was waiting for technology to catch up to his vision.
I know we don't talk about this in the episode. You weren't familiar with any of his previous work, were you?
No.
I've heard of A Girl at My Door, which he just wrote but didn't direct. And I feel like there's another movie that was on there that I was familiar with. But yeah, I mean, he ain't making Marvel movies, so Julio doesn't know who he is. Yet, that's right. They all bow down. In the press kit for Cannes, the film was described as a dance that seeks the meaning of life. This was by co-screenwriter Oh Jung-mi. I mean, you might as well shoot for the stars, I guess. What's
who
that
does
movie?
He think he is?
What's that movie where is it Girl Dance All Day or something, where like it's just a woman dancing around like
for
a
90
city
minutes, walking around and dancing? That's a staple of Eddie Strait birthday parties.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he does like throwing that on. So this is pretty impressive because of how complimentary we are of the performance. But Zhang Zhou Seo, who played Hai Mi, this was her first acting role.
Wow.
Yeah, her first theatrical role. No, their first acting role in general. She did this, and then she was in The Call in 2020, which is a Netflix film. So our buddy Dan Brennick is probably familiar with it.
Oh, not Halle Berry's The Call.
No, she did not go back in time to be in WWE films, The Call. But that's, I think we're probably most complimentary of her, like from just a pure acting perspective. And when I read that, it was kind of surprising because she obviously has like an it quality. She's very magnetic, but also just her ability to express emotion is very impressive.
Steven Yeun had to be in like 8 seasons of The Walking Dead before he was considered for this project. And this girl just walked in.
The loudspeaker broadcast that Jiangsu hears at home is actually the sound that can be heard in Paju, which is near the DMZ and filming location. However, it was difficult to record the actual broadcast, so the sound recorded by a North Korean defector was inserted into the film. The broadcast rang out in Paju during filming, but it was turned off after the Inter-Korean Summit in April of 2018. We very briefly, because it's brought up very briefly in the movie, talk about, you know, some of the political implications made, but that's pretty fucking rock and roll, man. That's the type of shit that's not going to happen when you're making a movie in America or Canada or something, man.
Man, I don't know. We're inching towards a future where you're gonna hear Trump speeches just in loud speakers in certain parts of the country.
Just like trying to film somewhere in Alabama, and the local town square just plays Fortunate Son really loud on repeat over and over. Paju, the hometown of Jiangsu, is famous for its fog, according to cinematographer Hong Kyung-pai. As we say in the episode, you know, we apologize. We're trying our best for some of these names. It's literally a second language to us. There were many foggy scenes at dawn, but some were deleted because they came out so beautifully. Many of the scenes where Jiangsu runs to search for greenhouses at dawn were also deleted because the foggy landscape were too beautifully shown. I guess the idea, you got to keep some griminess, grittiness about it.
You want the beauty to distract you from.
Doesn't have to be so annoying. Like that's got to be worse than a scene you need looking like shit. Like you film it and it looks awesome, but it's not like what you want it to be. So you're just like, damn it. Like if you tried, you couldn't make it that nice. But you know, 3 movies down the line, this guy's going to be making something and need something like this, and just, God, remember all that film we left on the floor?
You can repurpose it. What was it? I think it's Hateful Eight that Tarantino used the score from the rejected score from The Thing.
Oh, is that so?
I think so.
Hateful Eight is the Tarantino I've never seen.
One day. You kind of have to, but
yeah, I know. It's long.
Yes. So
just kind of winding down here. In addition to the accolades, several critics had it in their top 10 lists of the year. 2018, New York Times, LA Times, and Associated Press. It has been regarded by some critics as one of the best films of the 21st century, and was voted as the best Korean film of all time on Korean Screen from a poll of over 150 critics from 28 countries. Now,
recency bias.
I'm not going to say that Korean cinema is my area of expertise. I'd feel much more qualified to discuss perhaps the Friday the 13th franchise or Ready to Rumble, something like that. But that's pretty big claim. And even like when we talk in the episode, as much as we enjoy it, the idea of like all these people had in their top 10 movies of the year, and we reference a couple decade lists that and again, I enjoyed this, but I can name you 10 movies from 2013 that were better than this, in my opinion, of course. So for that, though, I'm just saying there's a lot of high praise and I'm glad we went in Baccarat blind, because if I had all this expectation, we may have run the risk of being like, okay, it's good. It's not that good. But reading that after the fact is like, I didn't think it was that good. But
yeah, I think it's too soon to make that kind of, I mean, I guess you have to, when they tell you, hey, give me the list of the top 10 movies of the decade, you just have to go with it, and you feel the way you feel. But it feels like 2018, I mean, we joke about it, and it feels like it was a long time ago, but it also wasn't. It's like 5 years ago. And the 21st century, I mean, you're talking about 23 years so
Yeah.
far. And I guess sometimes, I don't know, Alex, have you ever watched a movie and then you sat down, you're like, that was a masterpiece? Like you knew from the beginning and you knew that this was going to be.
Yeah, I would say Good Time, but like I'm trying to think of something that
But then you
I
would turn around and go, this is one of the top 10 movies of the 21st century.
yeah, I don't know if I could run out of a theater. Like one of The Dark Knight is a movie that I know people roll their eyes at the notion of that, but like I remember screening that movie and like being aware at one point that I was watching something extraordinarily special. And I don't think The Dark Knight's necessarily the best movie of the 21st century, but that's just something that comes to mind. Good Time, Llewyn Davis was a big one. What else? What else do I like, Julio? There Will Be
Titanic.
Blood. There Will Be Blood is a movie that during the milkshake scene wasn't the one that got me, but that's another movie that like a very specific part. It was like I'm watching something extraordinarily special. And this movie, as much as I enjoyed it, is not one of those movies that I really got that scratch to itch or itch to scratch at any point.
Yeah, well, I think that the problem is that it's just too soon, and I might, as I rewatch it and think about it more and everything, like okay, you said Dark Knight, and it's like it doesn't sound so silly now because we're more than 10 years removed from the
Mhm.
Dark Knight came out. So when you say something like that, it sounds like you really thought about it. When you
Yeah.
say something like that about a movie in 2018, be it Burning or be it Green Book, it still feels like too soon. It just
Yeah.
let it sit there for a while before you make those claims. But like I said, if it's 2020 and they're asking you to give your list of the best movies of the last 20 years, well, Burning is out of luck because it's only had 2 years to kind of simmer in the collective conscience.
Ether,
Yeah,
The Fog.
the fog.
You want to hear some shit? We need to trademark Contrarians clairvoyance or serendipity, whatever we want to call it. It is currently, for those of you, you'll probably be watching this in 5 days or so, but right now it is July 17th of 2023 as we sit here talking about The Dark Knight. I immediately in my mind was like, holy shit, tomorrow, July 18th, is the 15th anniversary of its release.
Well,
So
there you
it's
go.
what's that called? What when you I don't know, when your brain is thinking of something but you're not processing the ramifications of it. Just had it on my mind. Had to talk about Dark Knight, I suppose. So
And tomorrow you will do it again.
I will watch it tomorrow.
All right.
Anyway, so that was The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight completely overtook this conversation about Burning, but don't worry because there's a full episode about Burning. Contrarians Corner, where we say really mean things about it because it's fresh, and then Real Talk, where we just talk about how we experienced the movie, and then we hear how Ryan experienced the movie, and then we talk about all the differences in our takes. It's a lot of fun. So thank you for checking the podcast. Thank you for checking this video. Get ready because the next episode is something completely different. It's a family classic. We don't do many of those here in the Contrarians.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about The Princess Bride, which is even fresher than Burning.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's at Burning is 95. I think Princess Bride is 96. That's
98.
fine. 98. Jesus. Yeah. We'll destroy it in Contrarians Corner. And then we'll see what happens in Real Talk.
We'll destroy it, much like Andre the Giant's back and liver were destroyed in making that movie.
Well then, and other things. But thank you for checking this out, and we'll talk to you again soon.